Bob Barker? What? 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 Teddy's barking. Teddy is a Bob Barker. Yes. What are you doing? Yes. I get you. I get you. I get you. Oh. Good morning, everybody. It has already been a full morning here. I am expecting rain fairly soon here. It's already getting very dark outside, and the temperature is going to drop, which is going to mess with our flag show weekend, I'm afraid, a little bit. Also, just very shortly, I'm meeting with Jeremy to talk about our honors class grades. Since we're doing joint teaching that class, we thought we should get together and talk about those. So that means I needed to already get hay out. So I've already put hay out. I've already fed. I need to water, but I'm going to wait till it rains first. Oh, Cammie. You're a grouch. Anyway, so I am eating a little bit of a late breakfast here this morning, and I'm going to meet up with Jeremy. I need to get Marianne's gift of the rainbow horse. Don't y'all tell her. She doesn't watch these. Finished today if I'm going to give it to her, because we may end up having to record everything tomorrow. She was wanting to try to move it to next Saturday, but I think people have plans and we're not going to be able to do that. So the plan, I think, maybe to do everything tomorrow if we can instead of Sunday, because Sunday is going to be incredibly cold and rainy. Tomorrow at least it's going to be clear. It's going to be cold, but it's going to be clear. So I don't know. We'll have to just kind of play it by ear and see what happens. But right now I'm eating some breakfast, and I'm going to sharpen my knife. Little known fact, one of the commodities we have in the state is a stone called novaculite. That's what our state capitol building is actually made out of. Novaculite is a really good whetstone. It's a really good sharpening stone for knives. So if you get what's called a soft Arkansas stone ever to sharpen your knives on, that comes from the state of Arkansas, and it is in fact the stone novaculite. So I am going to sharpen my pocket knife here so that it's nice and sharp to cut the hay strings, and I will catch up to y'all soon.
Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh.
Well, while I was working on my knife, I remembered hearing some superstitions about knives, and so I looked it up. One of the superstitions is, oh, hi, baby, is you should never be the person who closes a pocket knife unless you're the person who's opened it. That's bad luck if you close a pocket knife that someone else has opened. And also, you should never give knives as wedding presents or gifts to a neighbor, because it can cause strife in a relationship. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So anyway, a little trivia there for you about pocket knives. What are you doing? You're having a jubilee this morning, huh? Are you having a jubilee? You're a good girl, Muffins. Hi, Sadie. Hi, Muffins. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. He's a good girl. He's a good girl. Muffins. She's a good girl. Oh, she's a good girl. She's a good girl. Hi, Feathers. Okay, some of y'all, if you watch my podcast for a minute, will remember this cross-stitch piece that I did. It's called Let's Gallop, back at the beginning of the year. And my intention for this is to make it a gift for Marianne. That's why I did the rainbow fade. And I tried to use colors that we use on the horses at the barn. So what I was going to do is I was going to frame it. And because of the pandemic, it's hard to get custom framing done right now. So I decided I would do it myself. I've got some of the sticky back board. And then I've also got the frame here. And then I'm like, well, this is a little too small just to frame it in this frame by itself. I don't think I could stretch it to make it fit. So you can see I've got a little bit of room here. Well, this frame doesn't have a mat in it. So what I think I'm going to try to do is I have this piece of fabric, and I'm going to cut it so that I can sew strips, like even-sized strips around this on the top and the bottom and the sides, and basically make a fabric matting, and then press it and use that to stretch over the sticky board. We'll see how that works. Well, I noticed as I was working with this, had a couple of little stains on it, so I decided to go ahead and rewash it to get those out if I could. Looks like mostly they came out, so that's good. So I'm just rewashing and now repressing this a little bit. Oops, just pressed a wrinkle into it. Repressing this. I'm going to let it dry out before I try to sew on it here. So, yay. I'm going to go ahead and press my blue fabric too, so that way it'll be ready to go once this is dry. Okay, so I have a meeting at 1. And I'm waiting on my cross stitch to dry, and I've been busy trying to coordinate rescheduling the events at the barn because the weather has turned very nasty here, and we're canceling our event this weekend, so we're trying to find a day to make it up. But Vanessa from A Historian Knits had made some cloth napkins, and I had been thinking about doing that. And so I've got tons and tons and tons of fabric. I mean, a lot. And so I decided, in the interest of being more sustainable and using my stash, that I would use up some of my fabric. I'm bad to buy, oh, that's cute, so I'll buy a yard of it or something. And you can't really do much with a yard except make a project bag or napkins or placemats. And I've got plenty of project bags. So I'm just sewing up. What I'm doing is I'm just basically sewing 2 together. And then I'll top stitch to sew them closed, and that'll be some nice sustainable cloth napkins here. I've got all kinds of different fabrics, and I don't care if I use Christmas fabric in July. It don't matter to me. So it's my house. I do what I want, right? But anyway, so I'm just sewing up some of these real quick before my meeting at 1. We've got our last department meeting of the semester. It's kind of a bummer because normally we have potluck and there's really good food and everything, but unfortunately this year that ain't happening. So, oh well, it's another one of those things that the pandemic has impacted, and it will mean that I told somebody the other day that I will never again take for granted being able just to walk down the hall and visit with my colleagues or visit with my students again after this is over. I will never take that ability for granted again. So anyway, I'm going to sew these up real quick and get ready for my meeting at 1. Yay, meetings. Well, my cross stitch is still a little bit damp, so I don't want to sew on it yet. So I'm going to make a couple more sets of napkins instead. Okay, well, I'm still waiting on that piece of cross stitch to dry. So I am made a few more pairs of cloth napkins here. I just decided I would make probably a dozen or so of these to start. You know, I've got so much fabric, and I've had some of it for years and years. So it's time to use it. It's time to quit waiting on, oh, I might use it for this or I might use it for that. Let's just use it. And then if you want to make something else, buy more fabric for that thing when you get ready to make it, instead of just having all this stuff sitting around, right? So the little pieces that I have left over, the little scrap pieces that I have left over, I'm putting aside to do some beeswax wraps out of, to do like some of the small ones that you might wrap some piece of cheese or some fruit or something in to take in a lunch. And the bigger pieces, I'm going to do some bigger pieces also. I've got to make some beeswax wraps. The part for my oven, according to the delivery tracking, is out for delivery, which means it's going to get here today instead of Monday, which would be great if it's the right part. Please, please, please let it be that part. I want to make some beeswax wraps for gifts, and some other, I think I might try to make some of those soup bowl cozies for some gifts this year. I've certainly got enough fabric. I haven't ever made those, but they don't look that hard. They look fairly straightforward. I just need to look up a tutorial on how to make them. But I'm just turning these napkins right now, and I've got a point turner that I bought at some point on a Notion sale, but I can never find it, and so my go-to point turner is a ruler because it has a corner. It's got a nice corner on it, and it turns the corner nicely, and it's not so sharp that it will poke through the fabric, which I like. So I just, you know, grab it, or I've used a pencil eraser before too. It just depends on whatever's handy. You know, I've got all the fancy tools somewhere, but inevitably I just grab the first thing I see that I think will do the job when I'm in a hurry like this. This was kind of a spur of the moment decision, as I am wont to do when it comes to crafting. You know, that is something that people either find endearing or irritating, as I kind of fly by the seat of my pants. I'm not a planner. I mean, I am a planner on some things. Like I like to plan the broad strokes, but then the fine details, yeah, I just kind of let it rip, tater chip. So we're still trying to figure out when we're going to have the flag show. I'm still waiting to hear back. And I'm still waiting on that piece to dry, so I may not get to it today. It may have to wait till tomorrow, which is fine if it has to wait till tomorrow. My plan is to sew a strip across the top and the bottom, and then sew strips down the sides to kind of make a fake mat, if you will, to see how that looks. And I'm going to sew it fairly on a loose, longer stitch, so that way if I don't like it, it'll be easy enough to pick out. I have matted with fabric before, and it worked okay, so I'm hoping that this will work. I've got to find something to use as spacers. I'm sure I've got something that will work. If nothing else, I'll get some scrap basket reed and put in there as spacers to keep the glass from making contact with the cross stitch and the fabric. I'm sure I can find something that will work. So, but right now I'm just turning the points on these napkins. I made 4 more, so that gives me 8 total. I'll probably maybe I'll make a couple dozen because they're pretty quick. And I've certainly got the fabric to do it with. I'm just kind of making different ones. I'm not going to worry about it if it's holiday fabric or not. This one happens to have dogs and cats on it, so it's kind of not so seasonal. And this other one has got snowmen on it, so it could be Christmas or it could be winter, I suppose. But or I can just use it when I feel like, which is what I'll do. Anyway, so I'm gonna finish up turning these. I started a meatloaf for supper in my roaster pan. I've got a little roaster that I use to do chilies and stews, and sometimes a small roast or something in. So I've got that going in my in that. I don't know, it should take it about an hour and a half to cook, I would think, and have some supper, and then probably hop online and work on some cross stitch. I haven't cross stitched today. I did a little bit of knitting during our meeting. Worked just a little bit on my fleece flight. I got about three and a half rounds put on my hoarfrost last night while I was online with everybody, so that was good. But anyway, so I'm just going to turn these, and I'm just kind of making these generally 12 inches, but I'm not even really measuring. I'm just kind of eyeballing it because they're for me, and I don't really care. If I was making them for a gift, I would be more concerned about, making sure all of them were a consistent size. But these are for me, and I'm just happy with whatever I get. So that's fine with me. And so, yeah, pretty easy stuff. If you got some cute fabric and you don't really know what to do with it, but you want to use it, napkins are a good way to go, because at least it gets it out and gets it used, right? And it's great for those smaller cuts that you bought, maybe because you like the fabric and, you were going to make a project bag like I was, and then you never did. So, yeah, see, this one's got dogs and cats on it. And then this other one is kind of a wintry scene on it. So anyway, all right, so that gives me 4 more, and I think I'm going to quit on these for tonight and go in and finish some supper and make some other stuff. Okay, so I'm sitting here knitting on my hoarfrost cowl. Cammie's watching over me here. I'm sitting here, I think this is round 25 that I just started. So, made a couple little mistakes in it, but that's just the way it's going to be, I guess. Anyway, I'm going to sign off for tonight, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Cammie says good night, y'all. Peace out. Bye.